Sup peeps, my name's Ian. I sell books on eBay and Vinted, and I try to make money doing that. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Today is kind of a I do. It's been not a bad day of sales, so welcome to the channel, and I'm just going to run through what has sold in the last 24 hours, there or thereabouts. We've got a few eBay sales, we've got a few Vinted sales. Within that, there's a couple of quite interesting items, and a lot of bread and butter, because you can live off of bread and butter. Cake and steak, that's a wee luxury item or two, isn't it? But we do have some of that in here today. So back to 2 days in a row after a few days off, things settling down a little bit. Everything's getting into a bit more better, a bit more betterness, better, etc. You know what I'm trying to say. We're running smoother as we go, so let's just take a look at what has sold and see where that takes us. What will we do first? We'll do Vinted first today, I think, because the best book of the day, the most interesting book of the day, is very much in the eBay category, as I would expect, 'cause that's where I keep my slightly better things. So on Vinted, a lot of single books, only 2 bundles. One of them's for 2 books and one of them's for 5, so that's a bit different. Not what has been usual for Vinted, but let's go through them all anyway. And the first one is, what's her name again? Alexandra Potter. These sell quite well. It's not big money, £1.50. More Confessions of a 40-something young woman. I believe that's what that's meant to say. £1.50. Pop that down there. Then, we just listed this yesterday, so it's gone quick for £1.50. The Elements of Eloquence by Mark Forsyth. There we go. Another wee, I don't know, some sort of selfie-helpy, how to read and writey thingy-majiggy bookie. I could definitely use that myself, but I've sold it instead. So £1.50 for that. And then another one for £1.50. The 5 People You Meet in Heaven by, what's his name? Mitch Albom. Let's say £1.50 again. This one's been listed for a wee while. I mean, Vintage, so it's not been listed that long. But we've got Feet of Clay, so it's a small hardcover, basically a book club edition of a wee bit Terry Pratchett, and that sold for £2 whole. Big value coming in there. Right, next is the first of the bundles, and that sold for £2.50. That's a couple of Fern Britton books. Again, just picked these up, very recently. 2 little paperbacks. Fern Britton, that's that woman off the telly, innit? And somebody's wanting them in time for their holiday. Who wants them in time for their holiday? Jude Roberts 91. So I have no idea if you watch this channel or not, but if you do, they will be shipped out today. So hopefully that means they'll get there in time for your holiday. It really depends which carrier you've chosen. Every, they might get there quite quickly. Yodel, maybe this time next year. Who knows? The Lake of Dead Languages. The Lake of Dead Languages. I'll say it again. The Lake of Dead Languages. Carol Goodman. So another single paperback for £1.50. Jules Verne. These are all in the wrong order as usual. Let's just put them into the right order. There we go, that didn't take long. Jules Verne, Around the World in 80 Days. Again, I've just picked this up the other day, but I've had this copy 2 or 3 times, and it always sells quite quickly. Although again, not for big money or anything. £1.25 for a bit of JV. And the same price paid for Lisa Gardner. Never Tell, £1.25. My Life with Bowie, Spider from Mars by Woody Woodmansey. That's a good name, isn't it? Nice wee hardcover book. There we go. Bit of David Bowie. eBay, £6 or £7. Vinted, £2. So a quick sale rather than having it sit for a while on something else. Then we have a bundle of 5. There you go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books. We've got some Naomi Alderman, Disobedience, Mike Gale, Half a World Away, Leanne Moriarty, there you go, What Alice Forgot, Nick Hornby's High Fidelity, nice wee vintage copy of that one, semi-vintage, and Thug, The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. I've got a few more copies of that, so I'll get another one listed now. Right, so that was a bundle of 5, and that sold for £7.50. A Taste for Death by P.D. James. You know, classic crime, £1.25. 2 more Vinted orders. It's been quite a quiet day across the board, but not too bad. We've got Marion Keyes, The Mystery of Mercy Close, big hardcover copy. That went for £2. And then the first, the last, the biggest sale of the day on Vinted for a single book is by Tiffany McDaniel, Betty. So, nice hardcover. It is a signed edition. I had this on eBay and Vinted just to see what would happen. There was no interest on it at all on eBay, but it has sold on Vinted for a tenner. So that's all right. I'll take that. It's kind of what it sold for, would have sold for on eBay if it had ever sold as well. So I've not lost fees and everything on that one, so that's quite nice. Little sale. But yes, Tiffany McDaniel, Betty for a tenner. And that's all the Vinted sales. That's them. £35, £40 in total for that lot. That's for everything that sold yesterday. There's a couple obviously that went out yesterday that you've already seen. Although maybe only one, to be honest. Yeah, The Kissing Booth by Beth Rickles, that's the only other one that went out yesterday. And a couple of them did go out today, so, you know, it all balances out from that point of view. But yeah, that's where we got to with Vinted. A fairly quiet day. But it all adds up. And on eBay, we had the second best day of the month. Not by much, but it was still the second best day of the month, which turned into a reasonable amount of bank. And that included books such as I'm just staggering there because I need to go actually find how much these things sold for. £11.49. £11.49 for 5. Jacqueline Wilson. So another of my authors that does quite well on the whole bundly thing. There you go. Some good old Jackie W. Always popular. Cookie. Queenie. You get the idea. All of them. £11.49. £3 to post them. And making £1 a book on them, which is good. And it keeps traffic going on Old eBay Road. Holiday Road. Right, I'm going to go through the other 3 bundles that I've got, and then I'll come back to the 2 single books that sold. So the next bundle is Lee Child again. So I did say I had my Lee Child listing back up and running, because Lee Child always does well. And that's proven to be the case. £11.98 for Tripwire, Die Trying, and a hardcover of Worth Dying For. So buy 2 get 1 free. Hardcovers are £1 more, hence how much they paid for them. £10.15 I'll get back from eBay, less £3 postie packy, so about £7 back in the 3 books, and that's pretty good. That's better than the Vinted money on those. Then we've got a bundle of 3 John Grishams, which I'm guessing sold for £9.98 because there are 3 of them. Oh no, sorry, there's a hardcover in there. There's actually 2, but only one charged as a hardcover. So £10.98, which means after eBay have taken their cut, I get £7.05. Less £3 means about £4 back on the Grisham books. Rogue Lawyer, A Painted House, Eloquence, Eloquence, and Calico Joe, all by Mr. John Grisham, and make about £4 off the 3 of those books. So that's, but I've got a lot of John Grisham, and they do sell quite well on eBay. When I say well, I mean fairly regularly. Right, the final bundle, which sold for £20.97. No promoted listings on this one, which is good. So that means that eBay gave me £18.02 for this lot. Less a fiver to post, because it's a bundle of hardcovers. And that leaves me £13 back on 5 books, which is pretty good. There's a few of these are first editions and were listed as such. So again, I stick another £1 in the price because it's a first edition. If people don't want them, they don't have to buy them. If they do, they have that option. But we've got The Midnight Line, 61 Hours, Make Me, Past Tense, Better Off Dead. Dude, you're dead, by the way. So anyone that's been watching, you'll have known they were sat up on the shelves behind me for quite some time, because I was just looking to complete a set of them, and for ages there was just 3 books that just weren't showing up. Yeah, I could have gone out and bought them for a few quid, off of Vinted or on eBay or somewhere, but I thought, nah, stuff it, let's just get the Lee Child listing back up and running, which I did, and I've sold a lot of them since I've done that, so that's lovely. And now that that listing is live, when I get a new book in, all I need to do is go in and increase the quantity against that particular title. Or if it's one of the 3 that I didn't already have, just create a new title and add the quantity and the price into it there. So it's very quick. Once you have these listings up and running on eBay, it's really, really quick to keep them topped up, compared to Vinted, where every single book has to be listed separately, which is good because it keeps away the big sailors, big fat sailors, you know the type. Bluto, that's their name. It keeps away the Blutos, but requires an awful lot more effort to make money off of it for very small sellers, such as myself. But that's fine. I have the time to do that at the moment. Well, kind of have the time to do that at the moment. I'm willing to make the time to do that at the moment, and it's a nice wee trickle of sales coming in. Having said that, though, I think I've kind of plateaued on Vinted at the moment. So when I had about 1,500 books live, I was doing, on average, £60 a day in sales. I've now got 2,500 books live, and I'm doing on average about £60 a day in sales. So I think we've hit that plateau, which is good because it tells me how much I need to be listing every day. There's no point sticking up 300 books in a day if the sales aren't going to quite match that. Obviously, the whole thing is dictated by whether or not you've listed something that somebody wants at that particular time, but keeping a good mix going all the time will hopefully do that. So I'm going to go up to about 3,000, so another 500 books where I'll list more than what I'm selling. So I'll do that over the next week or so. I don't want to rush to that point, and then I'm going to keep it about the 3,000 mark and just see what happens with sales at that point. It could be that it's, like everything else, it'll come in, surges. So perhaps there will be more to do at some point. But for now, who knows? And there we go. I've just sold another 5 Lee Child books. What 5 Lee Child books have we just sold? Let's have a look. The Affair, The Enemy, 61 Hours, One Shot, Nothing to Lose, all paperbacks. And they have sold for £14.97. So that's £12.76 back to me. £3 to post them. There you go. £8-9 for 5 books. That's the profit back into the business. Less cost of goods, less of packaging costs, blah, 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 blah. But you get the idea. So I've told you about them, so I'm just get them packed up today as well and do that with the rest of them here. Right, I've got the last 2 eBay orders. Like I said, a couple of single books. And the first one, again, I've sold this a couple of times. Ian Fleming, James Bond Compendium, the Marks and Spencer's edition. It's got Dr. No, Moonraker, Thunderball, From Russia with Love, and Her Majesty's Secret Service, and Goldfinger. And it's got Sean Connery on it, but he wasn't in all those movies, you know. That's where's the Australian? That's just, I don't know. It should be all of them. We should have Roger. God, who was the Australian? I can't remember. And yes, Miss Moneypenny, Sean Connery here. My name is Bond, James Bond. I'm a Spanish sword fighter who's lived for thousands of years. Conor MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod. So I'm the Scotsman playing a Spaniard, and you're the Belgian playing a Scotsman, and neither of us can speak in an accent appropriate. Anyway, $7.99. Sold that a couple of times. A few people have it listed for a bit more than that. But if I'm picking it up for 25p, I'm quite happy to take £8 straight away rather than sit for, a couple of months to get an extra couple of quid. Let's just get it in, get it out, make a little bit of money, and go and buy more of them. Last sale of the day, and this was a nice one. I've had this for a while. I'm surprised it has taken this long to sell, to be honest. But it did sell for £33.99. And once eBay have had all of their fees, because they're greedy bandits, £25.78 coming back for me. And it is The Paradox Men by Charles L. Harness. So a nice wee hardcover in really good condition. I mean, that's why I'm surprised it didn't sell sooner. It is in really nice condition for what it is. Sold for 18 shillings. And it is from the year 1953. So a 1953 first edition in that condition is just astonishing. 70 plus years old. 72 years old, isn't it? So 72 years old, and look at it. It is absolutely stunning. Probably it'll be worth a hell of a lot more than what I've sold it for, but it's sat there for quite a long time and has finally gone. Faber and Faber, The Paradox Men, a science fiction novel by Charles L. Harness. 33 quid. So that was my good sale of the day on eBay. That's pushed up the money's available. So yeah, it's a lovely little book, that's so it is. And that's all worth sales. So I did have a few days off from this, and that's seen because yesterday's video got loads of views, which always seems to be the case. When I say loads of views, like 700 odd views in 24 hours. It's not exactly, Mr. Beast or Matt Armstrong or anything. But yeah, that's good. Thank you all for watching. Do we have any nice comments? Yeah. Sorry, I did mean to have a look at these beforehand. So this is America. Dennis Learned, Shutter Island. You mean Dennis Lehane, don't you? That's just a typo. Aye. Yes, cracking book. Oh yeah, the Vinted bump. Aye, that seems to have come to an end, which is no great surprise. They couldn't continue doing that forever. They've also put their prices up. And I don't know why. So yeah, Stone Island, yeah. I could never find anything that really explained what that was about. It did seem to be, the bump was relative to the size of parcel that was getting sent. So it's something to do with postage, VAT, I really don't know. But it's now gone, which is absolutely fine. It was a bonus, very much a bonus, and it was a lovely bonus to have, but never expected that to last. The way Vinted are working, I mean, didn't make a profit until quite recently. So they will restructure, especially around the pro sellers piece, how they make their money. I've got no doubt about that. Things are going to get more expensive. Again, I don't know if it's a pro thing or right across the piece, but to bump an item, that's gone up from, I think it was 83 pence before, and now it's around £1, which, wait a minute, 83, yeah, so 83 pence is now £1. £1 is 83 pence plus VAT. So there's something with the whole VAT thing going on in there. I don't know what or how that works, but yeah, the bump is gone. The prices have gone up. I don't know if that's just for pro sellers because they're adding the VAT into it or not. I don't bump items anyway, because if I'm selling something for £1.25, I wouldn't have been spending even 83 pence to get it bumped in the first place. But the wardrobe highlight thingamajig, you pay for a week, that's gone up for me as well. Although the wee message that I did get with it said, because I've got so many items, they're charging me more. Again, fair enough. It used to be about £8, now it's about a tenner. That's fine. I don't mind paying a tenner a week for the traffic and the sales that seems to generate. More than happy to do that. That's covered in no time at all on the old daily sales, although it's very sporadic where and when you seem to get the views though. One day it'll be like 40,000 impressions, and the next day it's 4. No kind of rhyme or reason to it. So I don't know, but Vinted, they're still new, they're still relatively new, young organisation in the market, and doing what they can to compete and find their feet. So we'll take advantage of that whilst we can. And another big advantage of that is that they don't let people pay for more than 2 kilograms of postage when they're buying books. That doesn't make sense to me, but for now it means that people can get a really good deal. Instead of having to pay, well, if it was going through Royal Mail, up to 10 kilos, it's like £6 odd. They're only paying a couple of quid. So you can order 20 books and only pay a couple of quid, or £3 in postage, instead of more than double that. So that's a nice wee incentive for people. But I'm sure that will get resolved and come to an end at some point, because if at least half of the orders I send out are way over the purchased postage price. I've not had any comeback on it so far, but every single one of them, not every single one, half of them are over that displayed postage weight that somebody's going out and bought the label for, and that's because you can't get them for any greater than that. So anyway, there will be more to come on Vinted, I'm quite sure, as they tweak it and get things more and more sorted. So we'll just wait and see what happens with all of that. But for now, if I'm getting £1 a book and I'm paying 25 pence a book, and it's only taking me, a minute to process that sale, that's absolutely fine for me. Well, realistically, it's probably anything up to a couple of minutes per sale. But today's the exception, where it's all been single books. Usually it's bundles of 2, 3, 4, 5, 40, whatever it might be. So, yeah. It's good. Right, I'm going to end it there because I want to get this lot packed up and get Fern Britain sent off for our holidays. Which means, fingers crossed, nothing going wrong. Well, it's 11:15 just now, so tomorrow morning could be a wee bit tight, because I want to be out for midday tomorrow. Anyway, we'll see what happens. But with any luck, I shall see you tomorrow. So thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. I'm just talking as I'm moving the microphone away. That's not very clever, is it? See you later.